Despite the gravity of the situation, today I feel more optimistic about the climate crisis than I have in a while, because I spent this afternoon chatting with a group of graduate students about natural climate solutions. Natural climate solutions like reforestation and better forest management can actually help us significantly mitigate greenhouse gas emissions, help us keep warming to below 2 degrees Celsius. While not the only solution for the climate crisis, still a big, important piece of the puzzle, with hardly any downsides nonetheless. As a biologist studying the effects of climate change on biodiversity, I realize we are currently tumbling towards another mass extinction, that to be honest, we can't totally stop. But today I realize that we do have the capacity and enough empowered people to continue to find ways to mitigate warming to below catastrophic levels, to be able to maintain a lot of the biodiversity or rich fabric that makes Earth so special. It heartens me to be part of the solution, to protect as many diverse organisms as possible, to allow Earth to rebound in the future, in whatever miraculous ways that life has always rebounded after major disturbance for the last hundreds of millions of years.
Well, even though there are incredible challenges in the world right now, we are also seeing amazing movement toward addressing our climate crisis. People of all ages are getting involved. Governments, communities, and businesses are taking the problem seriously. This makes me feel better. I like to see action. A livable future is one that doesn't pollute, it includes all people, it creates room for other species, and it preserves what is needed for future generations, including a stable climate. I am working to create that every day in my personal life and professionally by helping to decarbonize healthcare in the United States.
Hi, my name is Pastor Eric Huseth, pastor at Our Savior's Lutheran Church in Bonner, Montana. Climate change has impacted me and my family in a lot of different ways, from smoke to air quality to health. But I think something that I've really noticed particularly this past year, is the snow and the lack of it, and how I look up at these peaks here in the month of April and think to myself how, when this church was first started back in 1912, 1920, we have pictures that date back from this church looking like it was buried. And I worry about that. Everything from cost to food to how we share our Montana life together. And I worry about my kids and how they, from lack of snow, will learn to love the landscape just as much as I have and appreciate it and connect with it. But as you can see in the back of our church, we have installed solar panels, and that many people pass by every single day. And I've been asked questions by community members from our church to say, how can I get solar panels on my house? Because if the church can do it, that means I can do it. And so I think when I think about the future, I think about church and faith communities and organizations really taking a leading role and helping the community see that there is a future and that we can do this, and that not only whether it be your biblical convictions or your moral convictions, that this needs to be done for our kids and for our future, and it can be done, and may it be so.
I'm Amy, Executive Director at Climate Smart Missoula.
And I'm Wren, her daughter.
Wren, how do you feel about the climate crisis?
In this moment, I feel scared. I think it can be easy to get overwhelmed, but I feel hopeful as well. And I've had a lot of conversations with you, my mom, about next steps and actions we can take and reasons that we should have a lot of hope. So a mix. How do you feel?
Similarly, some days I'm really stumped, like, can we actually do this as a world? But then I see people doing it, and I see people actually being really brave. And
like you, I see you doing it.
I do it, sometimes too much. But yeah, we need people to be brave, and that makes me keep going. What role do you think you might play in addressing climate in this next year?
Per your advice, I think the next election is super, super important in terms of electing people that care about the climate crisis and are going to make it a priority. And so I think this summer being involved in some political campaigns is going to be a big priority for me, even though it's something maybe I'm not like the most excited to do compared to some other paths. I think given how important it is, I want to be involved in that. Beyond that, I think it's important to find ways to be involved that make you super excited. So right now I'm getting into growing mushrooms as a sustainable food source, and it's super low water and land usage and energy and can be a really great alternative to meat products. So that's something that like makes me really excited, and that is another avenue. What about you? What are your priorities going to be in the next year?
I just want our community to do more. And I'm really excited about the way that we're linking here in Missoula health and equity and climate, and how people have healthier homes that use less energy. And I think there's so much we could do. And I'm excited to bring more people into that piece of the climate puzzle. And I also really want to get an electric bike so that I don't drive as much. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? And then I'm going to be pretty active in politics.
And I think for both of us in the next year, we are going to take some time to get outside and be in nature and remind ourselves of why we care so much about the environment.
Hi, I'm Kelli, Program Director at Climate Smart Missoula. I've become a climate ambassador out of both passion and necessity. I consider myself lucky to call Montana's beautiful landscapes and public trail systems my backyard, and am determined to do my part to ensure that they remain for generations to come. When I'm not trail running or skiing, I'm dreaming and scheming up ways to use my background in architecture to help decarbonize the built environment, affect building energy codes, and ensure that what we do now and build now doesn't adversely affect the future. I'm absolutely resolved to find harmony between both the natural and built worlds, and determined to bring others along.
What can we do to build a more livable future? I can help make climate-ready Missoula a reality.
Don't litter.
You can buy less petroleum-based products.
I can reduce, reuse, and recycle more.
Happy Earth Day.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sullivan. I am out here on the river trail right by the old sawmill district. The climate crisis has really made me think differently about my future and what I want my future to look like. So just started doing things that are going to help me build resilient habits, like riding my bike to and from work, recycling, just creating a resilient lifestyle for myself and for my community. And hopefully long into the future I'll still see the benefits of that and be able to encourage my friends and family to do the same, so we can all have a strong, healthy, livable future for generations to come, especially in Missoula and Montana. And
my name is Skye Borden. I am the co-director for the Great Burn Conservation Alliance. In the summer, we help the Forest Service to improve trails, clean up campsites, and manage noxious weeds. Last summer was challenging. We had a pretty skimpy snowpack to begin with, and then we had a lot of really hot days in a row at the very beginning of the summer. By the end of June, we already had a number of spot fires, and conditions were just really dry. We were bouncing around wildfires, trying to avoid them and the smoke for the rest of the summer. The science is clear that years like that are going to become all too common in the future. We need to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions to avoid the worst impacts of climate change. We also need local, place-based solutions to adapt to the changes that are already here. That includes building smarter so that our structures are more easy to defend in a wildfire, greater protections to communities in the form of regular managed burning, and protecting some of our most important wildlife corridors so that sensitive species can also have room to roam and adapt to the changes in the climate. I am hopeful. Climate change is a very big problem, but there's also a number of place-based solutions to help us meet the challenges that lie ahead.
When I think of this amazing blue marble that is planet Earth and all that my children will inherit, the beauty and wonder, as well as the loss and the grief. My heart just aches. I really cannot imagine a more wondrous place in the universe. The diversity and complexity of life, including humanity. It's stunning. But the tragedy too, racism and sexism, land stolen and cultures annihilated, poverty, violence, war. And so the intertwined crises of injustice and climate change are often on my mind. And I think a lot about what my generation owes to the future. Every day I hope that I can play some small part in the transformations that we need to build a world that is just and resilient. And I think I feel most hopeful when I focus on the amazing creativity and compassion that I so often see in my fellow humans. These are the moments that I feel confident that we will build the future that we need.